Idaho Falls Pediatrics, proudly supporting kids in our community in 7 Questions with Emmy.
Hey guys, welcome back to 7 Questions with Emmy. My guest today is Linda Toney, the first woman Lieutenant Colonel in the history of Henrico County Police Department. She recently retired after almost 30 years of service in law enforcement and is one of the several female officers who contributed to this book, Uncuffed Voices. Her story is my story. We have matching books.
Hi, Emmy. How are you?
Good. And my dad also interviewed you several times when he worked as a reporter in Virginia, and she was the Henrico PIO. Hi.
Yes. That's right.
Question number 1. Why did you decide to contribute and write for this book?
Well, that is such a great question. I'm so glad that you asked. And you might be able to see on the front of the cover, it says Chanel Dickerson, and that's a visionary author. And she actually did what's called an author call, and she started looking for people who might want to be a part of this project. And a good friend of mine, CC, who I had been to some leadership training, recommended to Chanel that she talk to me. And when we did, we hit it off. And, I really wanted to be a part of the project just because I wanted to see if I could tell my story and maybe offer advice and perhaps encourage someone else to become a police officer and understand what it's like to be a woman in law enforcement. So that's why I chose to participate.
Question number 2. What made you decide to be a police officer?
Well, this is going to sound a little, I don't want to say simple or generic, but I really wanted to help people. And there are so many different professions out there where you can help people. But I really felt like it was a calling. I went to college and I majored in criminal justice. And there's a lot of things you can do with a criminal justice degree. But I wanted to help people and, again, felt like it was a calling. So I went into law enforcement.
Yeah. What was the hardest part about working in law enforcement?
Well, there are several things that are hard. It's not the easiest job because sometimes you meet people when they're really sad or when something bad has happened in their life. You may have to deliver some bad news to them or help them when they're hurt. So that's one of the hard things, but also something that's hard on you personally. I wrote about it in my chapter, and that's the schedule because, police officers work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so it's hard because sometimes you miss holidays and special birthday parties. So it's hard on your schedule for a family, but you learn how to make it work.
Yeah, and at any time, if you weren't at work and someone was like, "There's a big bank robbery, you need to come now," you'd have to leave something important and stuff.
That is so true. I mean, I could have been doing an interview with your dad about something fun, and then something happens, a car accident, and I'd have to leave that and go help them. So you're right. You kind of have to always be on, even when you're not working.
Yeah. What do you miss most about being a cop?
I think I miss some of the people that I worked with and the citizens, like the community members that I would see all the time. Although it was stressful sometimes, some of the things you had to do with lots of meetings and stuff, but just the different people you would meet every day. It's not like you sit in an office. It's not like you're in a cubicle. So every day you would meet different people. So I do miss that part of the job.
Yeah. How has law enforcement changed since you started your career?
Oh my goodness. Well, I started my career in 1992, so things were a little bit different. I think through the years, some things have changed. There's been something, it's called civil unrest. Sometimes there's some trust issues between the community and police, and so it's been harder. Police have to work harder to show that not all police are bad, that a few bad police officers have made bad decisions, but not all of us are like that. And so it's changed in that it's harder sometimes to get the community to trust. But I think that's another reason why we really need to push for more people who are very passionate about communicating and talking to people, because we need more people to trust police officers and realize we are there to help you. We're not always there to write you a ticket if you are speeding or something. So I think it's changed in that there's a lot more scrutiny on police and people that don't necessarily trust us, and we want them to trust us. And also, social media is out there. And that wasn't out there years and years ago. And so that sometimes helps police officers because it can help us with crimes and different cameras and stuff. But those are a couple of things that have changed in law enforcement.
Yeah, I was going to say, we do trust police officers. My grandpa, he's an ex-police officer, and I think he kind of still works for the police department.
Still in Chesterfield.
He lives in Chesterfield.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that. Even though I knew your dad, I don't know that I remember that part. So I'm so glad to hear it because, sometimes people teach young kids that police officers are, going to arrest them. And, we want you to trust us. Like if you get lost or something, you want to make sure you come find a police officer that can help you.
My little brother, he used to be scared of police, but then our neighbor, she's actually a police officer. And so once he saw like her in her cop car and stuff, and she had a friend over who had his dog and everything. And then that's when he started warming up to them. He's like, they have dogs and stuff like that.
Well, that's so cool. Like she's a canine officer. Is that what you mean? Like she brings the dog home?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, you know what? That's a great example of some of the different things that police officers do. And so it's not just writing tickets. I mean, you could be a detective, you could ride on a motorcycle. There's so many different things you could do. So I'm so glad that you have a neighbor like that.
Did you get to ride on a motorcycle?
I never did, but I think that would be exciting. I did learn how as a civilian to do that, like in my world, but not as a police officer.
What advice do you have for people who want to go into law enforcement?
Well, you know what? I think about people who want to go into law enforcement. Like, let's just say someone like you and me at your age. You have great communication skills. You know how to talk to people. And I think that people like you or anybody who might want to go into law enforcement really needs to talk to other people in the job. Read books, listen to podcasts, find out what are the good things about the job and what are some of the challenges. And that's actually one of the reasons we wrote the book, is to actually show people, not just women, but all people who want to be police officers, some of the challenges, and then to also to offer advice to them. So I would really say research the job, like any job that you would, to make sure it's something that you want to do.
Yeah. And the last question is, how do you want to be remembered?
Oh gosh, you come up with really good questions. You know that?
Thank you.
I want to be remembered for the way that I treated people. That I, in my career, was fair to people. And that would mean whether they were my coworkers or community members or reporters like your dad, like as a public information officer, that no matter what we did in the job, that they felt like they were treated fairly. So I think for me, that would be really, really important.
Yeah. Thank you so much for chatting with me.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Make sure all of you viewers read this awesome book.
Thank you, Emmy. And if anybody needs to get a copy of the book, I think your dad can let them know how they can get in contact with me to get one.
Well, we can put the link in the description. So
I would love that. I would love that so much.
Thank you.
And you know what? I want to tell you, Emmy, I'm so excited to meet you. I feel like you're a superstar. All the people that you have interviewed and talked to. When I was little, I loved Donny Osmond. I cannot believe you got to talk to him, and Randy Travis. So you just keep doing what you're doing. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. You knew me when I was a baby, right?
I did. You were little. I think you were I think you were like 2 years old when you moved.
Yeah.
You'll have to ask your dad, because it was when one of your brothers was born that I worked with your dad. But yeah, you were little when you moved from Virginia.
Yeah. So you've seen me grow up, kind of.
I have. So I've got to see you grow up through your dad and through pictures, but also seeing you just mature through this. I want to say it's your side job, but I'm not sure if it's your career or not. I'd love to interview you. Maybe one day I could do 7 questions from Linda to Emmy. How about that?
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching. Remember, new 7 questions interviews are posted every Thursday. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Love you guys. Bye.
Idaho Falls Pediatrics, proudly supporting kids in our community, and 7 questions with Emmy.